Hey guys, I'm going to do a quick kind of review video here of my hydraulic crimping machine from Aliexpress since it's been so helpful. There's no other reviews on YouTube, so I thought I might as well do it. I don't think anybody else has posted anything about it, and I got some hoses to redo here today, so I'll make a quick review video. So I got all these hoses here, got some little ones, some other little bit longer one, and then a longer one. So I'm gonna get those made up today. So I forget which part number, there's like no actual part number on this thing of what it was, but I have it saved when I ordered it. It's pretty simple. It comes with all these dies with quick change thing here, so you can grab a die, it's magnetic, and then it just cams into these setups here. So I think I'm gonna have to change 16 right now. I have it set up for a 1/4 inch line crimping, and I'm gonna have to do 3/8. So I'll have to change my dies, so I'll show you that. But there's some more storage over here, and then there's a foot pedal that controls it closing, and it's got also the same a close control here and a open control here, and then the dial indicator that you can dial it to whatever crimp diameter you want. It's not on, like if you actually dial it to a certain millimeter setting here, it will not be that millimeter, but once you can just test it for multiple different sizes, so like for your different hose crimps, and you can get it to a point that you know what you need to put here to get the outcome of a crimp diameter. And it's usually right on, like its repeatability is very good. It's actual calibration of this thing, and I haven't looked into how you can change that. I mean, it hasn't really been a problem, but yeah, it came with this plug on it here, so I just used it and made a cord for it. It says it's got an Eaton, actually controls on-off switch here with a circuit breaker, which is kind of crazy. And then this one's a single phase. So a single phase, it says 5 horsepower motor here. So it's 220 single phase right now. And I just have that cord plugged in back here. And this is actually the hydraulic tank down here. It's got a little, as you can see, level in there and temperature. But there's kind of oil everywhere, as this fitting right here leaks. I've tried tightening it, but I don't really want to tighten it any more than that. So maybe one of these days I'll pull it off and figure out why it's leaking. I might have to make a new line for it or something. But it's got the control solenoids under here, wiring goes into there, it's got a pressure gauge under there, and a block, I assume pressure adjustment it's got a bypass in there, probably that's a bypass adjustment, I'm not for sure. And then it has this chart that came on it that basically says what die will equate to what millimeter. So for example, let's say you wanted a 23.2 millimeter crimp. You would go to 22 millimeter, 23 millimeter, right here. And that says at 23 millimeters, you would put in a 2100, which would be on this thing. Let me get it to focus here. About a 1014. So you would want to go to a 210. So that right there is a 23 millimeter crimp if I had the 22 die. So this is the die number right here, 22 die in here, which I don't. But so right there you're at a 23 millimeter crimp, sorry. and then you can dial it into 23.3 millimeter. That's how it's supposed to work, but it's not right on. But you can find your range, like I said. So I'm gonna get these hoses like measured out and get them all ready to go and cut them so that I can show you how it works. And so I'm gonna show you how to change the die here because I need to go to the 3/8 die. Well, I have it written down that it's a 19 die. My numbers are pretty off as they're scribbled. It took me a little bit to figure them out, but we'll see how that one is. So basically all you have to do is turn the thing on, and then switch hands here. So I'm gonna need the 19 die, and right now is the 16 die in there. So all you have to do is hold the button right here to close it. Let's see if I can do it one-handed here. Close it a little bit more. With two hands is a little easier. So then you put it like that, and this might be a little hard to do one-handed, but I'll show you how you do this thing. So push this. I like to push this thing hard in while I open it, or it kind of slips off. As you can see, this thing leaks pretty good. Just comes out like that. Then you just put it in. I need the, let's see, the 19. I still like to push it in. And then sometimes they don't like clip all the way in, so I stick my finger in there and just make sure they're locked. Ready to go. So now that I got the 19 die in there, I have written on my little cheat sheet here that for 3/8 I got a 19 die and a 101440 dial setting. So I'll set that like I explained before. So 101440. And just lock the thing in place. So now it's set up to crimp that diameter. First of all, I'll show you how I measure these hoses. I mean, this is pretty simple, but I might as well show all this here. So I'll just get a hose like this, and then lay it out, basically somewhere like that. And then I'll mark, basically, that's lined up at the front, that's lined up right here. And I'll mark that and cut it there. But I need to make this hose shorter because it rubbed on the cylinders. It's just too long, so I'll get that marked out. Kind of, well, it's hard to see, kind of messed up, so I'll trim that real quick. I'll show you how this all works. This is from Harbor Freight. It's like $30 or something, super cheap. And it works pretty good for this. You just kind of tighten it up and give her the bean. So I got these little marker crayons, so I need to make this thing shorter, like I said. So I got that end trimmed off, so I'm going to make it about like this long. So I just use these little crayons. They work really good to mark it out. And once I get that cut, I have a pile of hose over here, which I just get this stuff off Amazon. It's like, I mean, the 1/2-inch hose is pretty cheap. I think it's under $1 a foot. All this stuff is super cheap, and then I buy all the fittings. These boxes full of fittings everywhere. And I have ferrules, which I think it's kind of a no-no, but I can cut off old hydraulic fittings and use them. So let's say you have a specialty fitting, like on a loader or something that goes into a manifold block. I mean, I've cut them off and reused them with one of my ferrules. I don't have an example, but maybe I'll make a video of me reusing them. I have done it like on our swather. There was a specialty all bent line and stuff that was, I think it was gonna be $1,000 line that I basically made for about $10. So there is a use for cutting things off, and they couldn't even get that line for like 5 days. So our swather would have been down, and that's just not possible. So that helped out in that situation where you take the lines to somebody, they won't really do that for you. It's pretty ghetto, but I'm pretty ghetto sometimes too, so it works out good for me. But that's all my fitting assortments. I have metric and standard, just all kinds of different random ones that I can do. So another thing is, how do I know what crimp diameter to use on all of these fittings, since I just buy them randomly off of websites and there's really no specs to them? Well, I do the old eyeball test, and if it looks like it's really crimped down on that hose, like too much, like right now you can see right at this joint right here, it's like just about the same diameter as the hose, just kind of squishes it down. So I think that's a pretty good crimp, and I like to bubble crimp it like shown there, so I hold the crimper back some so that it makes that little bubble in the end. But I'll show you an example of one that is over crimped that you'll actually end up cracking the case. And I did this my first try because I was way too deep on it on this 3/4 inch fitting, right? So here's a 3/4 inch fitting that it was super crimped, and you could tell it's squishing the hose a lot. But see this one? It cracked. Right there, it's cracked. It was way over crimped. So I've just been eyeballing it, which I don't know. All the charts say you got to be plus or minus. I mean, a pretty small amount. It's like plus or minus 0.3 millimeters or somewhere in that range, and I'm just eyeballing it, and I've never had a hose blow off. So it's worked pretty good for me. Once I get this thing set up here, I got my hose, and I'll just push the hose fittings on this thing and get them basically ready. It's good to mark these to make sure you have them pushed all the way in on the bigger fittings, but the smaller fittings I don't really care. I know that I'm pushed all the way in. It's easy to push them. When I get the foot pedal out, I like to set it right here below me. And then you just stick the hose in from behind, like this. Use the foot throttle, hold the foot pedal. And right when it starts getting tight, I'll try to line it up for like a bubble crimp. And then you just hold the pedal till it stops. Just like that, the light comes on. There's the crimp. Now you do it for the other one. There's another one. So I'll get all these things done and all these hoses, and I'll show you the end result. So I got all these hoses cut to length with the right fittings pulled out. Got that. I already did that little small one that I showed you, but here's the big long one. I have 2 fittings down there. I'm just going to crimp them in real time so you guys can see how easy this thing is to run. just like that, they're all done. I have some kind of weird crimps on this because these diameters of these things are different than these ones, but they're not about to crack, so they look like they're fine. It's a little bit too crimped, but it'll work. It'll work fine. So I'll show you here the stuff that we just did. We just did these, all these lines, crimps, and then the little one that we initially did. It's right here. Just like that. So that shows the process of it, but I'm gonna make a quick video of me reusing hydraulic fitting and how that's done with my setup, because I don't think there's anything on the internet that shows this. It'll just be a different video, so if you guys want to see that, it should pop up and watch that one. Thanks.